Hello everyone and welcome back guys to episode 5 of my F1 1980s career mode, and today we are here taking on the Spanish Grand Prix back at Jerez this time for round 5 of the season. If you did miss out on the last episode, I would highly recommend going back and checking out. Very interesting race, I think, to say the least, at the Monaco Grand Prix. But here we are then in Spain for this race around Jerez. Obviously commonly known for actually hosting championship finals, as we saw back in 1997. Some dramatic races as well, so hopefully, we can have a fairly interesting race today. Overall, I'm a few points down in the championship, and really, I need to start turning it around. Michael Schumacher leads the way. I think he's about 13 points ahead of Nigel Mansell there, and I need to try and, close back up to the pair of them. Somehow just about holding on to third place overall in the standings. But having a look at the setup around this circuit, running, I wasn't really too sure how the car would handle around here, so I did opt to, not take it to particularly extremes at either end of the spectrum there, but limiting the car to 194 miles an hour there, which probably should be very ideal there. But here we are then on the grid, ready for the Spanish Grand Prix. Definitely prefer this track over Catalunya. But yeah, hopefully today, as I said, we can get off to a nice, good race. But there we are then. On pole, we have got Nigel Mansell, currently second place in the standings. Fourth place, my teammate Mika Hakkinen, and I'm all the way down in P7 here. Not the ideal place to be starting this Grand Prix, but certainly we can try and fight my way back up through the field like we tend to in these races. But here we are then on the grid, ready for the Spanish Grand Prix. It is 5 lights, and it is lights out, and away we go, and off to a very wheel-spinning start there. Gerhard Berger getting a much better launch than myself, but both Lotus 100Ts actually struggling down in towards someone. They're braking very late. They're nearly running to the back of Emerson Fittipaldi, but somehow get through turn 1 nice and cleanly there, and they go brake very late once again there. Fittipaldi brakes early, Hill runs wide on the exit of the corner. They're just not able to get the grip in with the car, so I now find myself all the way up in P3 by really, sort of just braking nice and sensibly into the corners. Run massively wide though. Get a huge punt up the rear by Damon Hill once more there as I run through the gravel trap there. Just no idea, where to brake, how much speed to take through some of the corners around this circuit. Also, once more, getting used to this car once again in this series. To see Schumacher and Mansell, the two championship protagonists, are already pulling away from myself at the moment. So this is really not what I need in the early stages of this Grand Prix as we now skip on to the end of lap 2. You can see the gap now is up to nearly 4 seconds by this point of the Grand Prix. So this is not ideal for myself. We really need to try and close back up to the race leaders here over these next couple of laps. But anything can happen in these races. And if you have a look as well, the game did reckon a pit stop on lap 4. So we might actually, the AI definitely going to have to go for the 2-stop Grand Prix. And I might actually be able to try and stretch out a 1-stop here as we come towards the end of lap 6. You can see the tyres aren't actually that worn at this moment in time. Sorry, the end of lap 4. The tyres aren't actually that worn at this moment in time during the Grand Prix. The front two both chuck it down into the pit lane there, so we will now inherit the race lead. But this could be interesting, over these next few laps. If I can then try and pit onto, the prime tyres and just try and drag them right through to the very end of the Grand Prix. You can just hear on the radio there, actually, that Mansell and Schumacher there did move on to a set of the prime tyres. Let's go for a longer stint. But as we come through towards the end of lap 7 here, the tyre wear was starting to fade. The gap behind was about 7 seconds at the moment as we make a huge mistake coming down in towards the final couple of corners there. No idea. Just absolutely no grip as we tried to get the car turned in there. But now diving it down into the pit lane there. Trimming the pantry ever so slightly, I'm not going to lie. But we do get the car nicely down into the pit lane here. But I forgot one crucial thing. I completely forgot to change onto a set of the prime tyres here. So between now and the end of the race, I was exiting the pit lane going, am I on primes? Am I on my options? I just could not remember for the life of me here. So hopefully Jeff can come over with the radio at some point soon, giving me some valuable information.
Within the next couple of laps.
So they reckon someone will be pitting over the next couple of laps then. Not exactly the information that I want at this moment in time, Jeff.
We have an advantage here.
So there we are then, confirmation. Unfortunately, we are running the set of soft tyres, the option tyres once more there, which means we do have the advantage for now over Schumacher ahead of me here. But, this was not what I wanted to see by the end of lap 9 here. The gap to Schumacher actually coming down quite healthily at the moment, because considering obviously we are on a fresher set and a quicker set of tyres, we should hopefully be closing the gap. But as you can see, coming over the line, we do actually go fastest lap of the Grand Prix there with a 1 minute 22 dead there. So the gap now down to just 2.2 seconds. So we are definitely closing down on Michael Schumacher here, and this is exactly what we need at this moment of time during the Grand Prix. If we can try and get ahead of him, he might struggle actually to get back past me towards the end of the Grand Prix. And now as you can see, skipping on to the end of lap 11 here, we're already down into the 1 minute 21 series. Schumacher now is just in front of me here. Jeff just telling me there as well. He's also on fuel conservation mode, and we're going to dive it down the inside of very late. Jacques Villeneuve-esque move there down at turn 2 there, but we now move up into P2 of the Grand Prix here. This is absolutely crucial for my race. Schumacher, the championship leader, we do need to try and close down points on him as soon as possible in this season. And now Mansell is only a couple of seconds up the road here, 3.3 seconds, so that, is catchable in these final few laps of the Grand Prix. We've got 1 pit stop each left to go. We've got the tyre advantage at the moment, but he will towards the end of the Grand Prix. But I'm certainly not giving up on this race at the moment here. As you can see just there, Jeff once again telling me there, that we did have the tyre advantage. By the end of lap 13, Mansell now dives into the pit lane for his final pit stop of the day. We're now down nearly into the 1 minute 20s here, and this is, the pace is looking so good. But, we got to try and not let Mansell try and undercut you too much at this point of the Grand Prix. We're going to have to pit very soon in this race. Aim to see the gap now up to 12 seconds here as we now dive into the pit lane on the end of the lap, running a little bit wide on the grass there. That won't exactly help me out there, but we shouldn't have lost too much time from that as we dive it down into our pit box once more in this Grand Prix, hoping for once again a nice, clean, good stop there. A 5.87 second pit stop there. Not ideal. As you can see now, we got Mansell. Mansell is actually just flying past me there, and we are still just about going to come out ahead of Michael Schumacher there. He unfortunately got held up behind his teammate Gerhard Berger. So we now move up into P2 of the Grand Prix, and now we really need to try and attack Nigel Mansell in these final few laps of the Grand Prix. And you can see by the end of lap 15 here, the gap to Mansell, unfortunately, he had those fresher tyres, and we just really couldn't get into a rhythm as well as I probably would have liked on this set of the primes. I was so used to the options during this Grand Prix. It became, that car was so much quicker as well. It did become very difficult towards the end of the Grand Prix. And now as you can see, by the end of lap 17, we weren't losing out on too much time. Somehow they're actually setting the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Just really nailed that full lap there. But yeah, the gap's still well over a second to Nigel Mansell ahead of me here. As you can see, coming down in towards turn 2. Just confirmation there. 1 minute 19.888. The first lap in the 1 minute 19s of this Grand Prix. And the game actually struggling a tiny bit with little bits of freeze-ups there, which certainly was not helping myself here, as now as you can see, coming through the final few corners, though, of this Spanish Grand Prix. Unfortunately there, nothing we could do against Nigel Mansell right at the very end, actually making a huge mistake once more through that little kink. But as you can see, we're actually running a little low on fuel here as we dive it down into the final corner of the Grand Prix, and we're actually struggling for power on the exit there. What is going to happen down towards the line? Michael Schumacher going to have a look to the outside. We completely shove him. We make sure we keep that car ahead, and I think robust was definitely the right way to describe that defensive move right at the very end of the Grand Prix there. But P2 overall in that race, I think, we can be very happy with there. 300ths of a second that separated myself and Michael Schumacher there. But Nigel Mansell, as I said, did win that Grand Prix with myself P2, Michael Schumacher P3, his teammate Gerhard Berger in P4. The Lotus 1980'S of Fittipaldi and Andretti 5th and 6th. Damon Hill having a very poor race out in 7th, as well as my teammate Mika Hakkinen. Really not off to a good day there in P8, just ahead of Alain Prost and Alain Jones there. So, those two guys, no real chance that they can sort of fight with the rest of these cars in this season there. But that was certainly a climactic end to the Grand Prix. As you can see in the drivers' standings, we are now just 27 points off Michael Schumacher at the top. We've got 5 rounds to go of this season, just 21 points to Nigel Mansell there as well. So they're looking very tight between those two, and ideally I do still want to try and get in that championship tussle by the end of the season. If we can win some Grand Prix, build up some momentum, that would be very nice. I haven't actually won a classic season career mode yet, so would really like to in this series, guys. But I'm going to look at the constructors We are now just 17 points behind the FW12 team. But hopefully, you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, do not forget to like and subscribe for more of my F1 1980s career mode. But I will see you guys next time for, I honestly have no idea what Grand Prix.